Placido Domingo is in town, and since his first visit to China in 1988, he now comes back to China almost every year. And this time around, he's working with the NCPA for one of his favorites, Simon Boccanegra. And this is just one of many projects he's worked on with Chinese musicians. In today's program, let's talk to the icon, Placido Domingo.
I'll be loving you eternally.
He is the king of opera and still going strong at 74. What is it you enjoy most while you're on stage?
I'm happy that I can still sing and the public loves it, so I will continue until I feel strong and the public likes it.
He is an old friend of China. Since his first visit some 30 years ago, he's been back almost every year. So it wouldn't be a surprise if in the future you're going to cooperate again with the NCPA?
Yeah,
even for a Chinese opera?
We have, well, it will be difficult maybe to sing a Chinese opera, but maybe I can conduct, why not?
Domingo is keen to help young singers through his Operalia voice competition.
So I was only 30 when in an interview I said, my dream one day will be to be able to help the young singers.
Good morning and welcome back to Beijing again, I should say.
Thank you very much. It's my pleasure to be here.
When was your first time? 1988? If I remember it correctly?
I think so, yes. Almost 30 years now, yes.
And since then, especially these recent years, you've been coming back to China more often now, I guess.
More often, yes. Especially since the year of the Olympics, since 2008, practically every year I have been here.
And this time around, you're working with the NCPA, yet again for the second project with the NCPA.
Yes, exactly.
Simon Boccanegra.
Yeah. I should say it for the third time because we have in 2012 Operalia, my competition.
Yes.
Then I was singing Nabucco in 2013.
Yeah.
And now we sing Boccanegra, Simon Boccanegra 2000.
What is your impression of NCPA production?
Well, I think it's kind of an extraordinary reality. It's amazing in few years how the opera has developed here. I think, I think Mr. Chimpeng and Penchi is really doing an extraordinary job.
It's still a young opera house.
Yeah, I think that he has been a magician, because Mr. Chimpeng has really done a big company. He's doing all the operas or repertoire. And he's also doing operas in Chinese. So I think he's doing the best of both sides, I mean, he's serving the cultural and what opera it is being developed to the people. And still he's commissioning new operas so that the Chinese repertoire can continue. So I think it's a magical thing happening.
So it wouldn't be a surprise if in the future you're going to cooperate again with the NCPA?
Yeah,
even for a Chinese opera?
We have, well, it will be difficult maybe to sing a Chinese opera, but maybe I can conduct, why not?
That's right.
And I have several plans, different plans with the company. So we are talking, and I hope that I will be coming back next year and the following year, and so that my visit will be very continuous. I want to be part of this extraordinary happening.
Yeah, look forward to that. Well, talking about this new project, with the NCPA, Boccanegra, and the previous one, Nabucco in 2013, both characters you've seen in the two productions are baritone characters.
Yes.
Are you setting your new tone now for the future?
Well, I have been now since 2009. I started singing baritone parts because I sang many years the tenor repertoire, and I found that my voice was getting darker, and it was the tessiture was changing. So I started singing the baritone roles, and certainly Nabucco was a great production. It is you know, the Verdi operas here, they have been presented the most popular, like Rigoletto, Traviata, and Trovatore, and then you have extraordinary operas like Ballo in Maschera, and then epic operas like Nabucco and Aida, you know, which there are phenomenal, very spectacular operas. And now we have the Simon Boccanegra, which Verdi many times in his life he confessed that it was his favorite opera. It is wonderful. It is a political story together with a very romantic and dramatic story. So, and the role of Boccanegra has many possibilities to develop from being a young character to the end of his life, you know, and looking for his daughter that he hasn't seen for 25 years. And it is, the public will really love this opera as one of their predilect opera.
Yeah, maybe in the future, Chinese music fans will be seeing you on stage as differently from the impression they might have before. Tenor from tenor, well, you're still a tenor, but more of a baritone character on stage.
Yeah,
too.
the Chinese people, they really never saw me on the stage doing a tenor part. Here in China, I was singing concert, I was singing arias, duets, but they never see me doing a role. I mean, internationally, yes, they saw me, the Chinese public that they have seen me around the world, yes, but in China, opera is very recent, you know, so all my career as a tenor, I didn't have the chance to sing a tenor role, you know,
in China.
So.
Yeah. Well, this time for this project, you're also working with Chinese musicians Tian Haojiang and Hui He.
Yes, and Hao Tiang, and with Maestro Chung, which is a great conductor from Korea. And Alliance Wojcinski, phenomenal producer also, which I have done production with him of Boccanegra in London and in Los Angeles.
Right. Well, Hui He, she's actually the second prize winner of your competition, right?
Absolutely.
In 2000, 2001. In 2000.
In 2000.
In New York.
Extraordinary singer. She
the World Opera Singing Competition.
Absolutely, yes.
How is she?
She's wonderful. She's a great artist. She has been singing in all the international theaters.
Oh, he's so gentleman. He's really very nice for everyone. He's really truly artist because he's so into the role, and his movement, everything is so inside the role. So for me, I learn a lot of things from him.
Ladies, gentlemen, distinguished guests, it is my great pleasure to welcome you to the finals of Operalia.
Since 1993, Domingo has promoted highly talented young singers through the Operalia voice competition. Each year, in a different international city, 40 pre-selected singers take part and have the opportunity to demonstrate their abilities before an international jury. The 2012 competition was held at the landmark National Center for the Performing Arts in Beijing, where the event celebrated its 20th birthday. The competition itself, it was there since 1993. You founded this competition.
Yeah.
Why did you want to establish a competition like that?
Since I was very young, because I was in a company that we were singers from all around the world, being young artists, and we were in Israel singing, and I always thought that it would be very good if I can help the young artists, the young singers. So I was only 30 when in an interview I said, my dream one day will be to be able to help the young singers. And I'm doing that with the competition with Operalia, and also with the fact that I have 3 different group of artists, one in Washington, D.C., another one in Los Angeles, and another one in Valencia, Spain. So I have a lot of young artists, which we try to help them at the beginning of their career.
Well, you're doing great in that sense, because we have Hui He from your competition,
Yes.
we have Liao Changyong
Oh, yes.
from your competition,
Yes.
Sun Xiuwei from your competition.
Yeah, it is an amazing line of great singers.
Exactly. All these young talents are now coming up, and we're
Yes.
now seeing them more on international stages.
Yes,
How are they compared to their Western counterparts?
they are extraordinary. Xu Wei was one of the first
best,
ones
yeah.
that was winning in the early competitions, and it's really, really amazing. It's not difference. I mean, when I come to China, I have the great pleasure to participate with Chinese singers also. But that's not an exception. We do it all around the world. We have international singers, and of course the Chinese singers that are considered the
One of
best.
the best, yeah. And is that one of the reasons you brought the competition actually in 2012, you mentioned?
Exactly.
Here,
Exactly.
in China, at
Yes.
the NCPA.
That's right, yes, that's right. And we have been invited to do it again, and we are talking about, so I hope that we can bring it back.
When would that be?
Well, we are talking about 17 or something like that, so that should be.
So we're going to see actually more classical Chinese musicians popping up. Actually, we're now seeing that happen even more. And if you compare what you see these days in China, the classical music scene in China, compared to what you saw, say, in 1988, what would be the biggest difference, the structure?
Well, I think the structure, the public has learned so much. They really love, and I'm sure that it is I think the record industry has changed a lot. Before they were sell a lot more records. Today, it is more through the computer, so
Internet,
downloading, operas and arias and whatever, and unfortunately also about piracy and people just downloading illegally. So it is a terrible time for recordings. Actually, I will have a meeting in China with the people that I am a chairman of all the recording companies, because all around the world we are very much hurt by the piracy. It is extraordinary. I mean, if somebody buy a pair of shoes or jewelry in the computer, you have to pay for,
That's right.
But people, they think that they can just bring music, they can download music without paying, and especially the young people, they don't even know. So it is impossible. I think since the technology has developed so much, the technology should also develop a technique. Then it cannot be possible if you don't pay what you want to buy.
Not
But
sustainable.
people think that the music is just free, and so it's free in the case of all things, that they have passed many, many, many years. But what is there, they have to, I mean, I'm not talking about myself. I have done a very long career, but the young artists, the young people now coming, they will never get 1 cent for recording if this is not solved.
That's right. That's a big issue too,
Yeah.
being discussed in China now. Well, talking about your presence in China, well, there was one occasion that struck the whole nation. That was the Three Tenors concert that was in 2001.
Yes, I think we were very lucky because we make it because it was in order to present the candidate Beijing for the Olympics.
Yes.
And I also was very lucky because I also did a big concert from Shanghai for the Expo.
That's right. That's
And
right.
both cases, they won, you won, you know. So
That's right.
I'm very happy that that happened. So that concert was unbelievable.
Do you
in the
still remember
Forbidden
that
City.
night?
Yes, of course. Of course.
It was so stunning. I mean, the whole world actually was catching the attention of the whole world at the time.
Yes, that was really
Si me
wonderful.
quieres como yo te adoro, si de mí te acuerdas como yo de ti, y a veces escucho un eco divino que envuelto en la brisa parece decir: sí, te quiero mucho, 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 tanto como entonces, siempre hasta morir.
Placido Domingo was born into a musical family in Madrid in 1941.
I see trees of green, red roses too.
At the age of 8, he moved to Mexico when his parents established their own theater company.
I went and I sang. I was quite heavy and with short pants, because in Spain we used to, very much so like in England, the children, they used to go with short pants in those days. And I sang, and I win the competition. I mean, I won the competition. And
Remember what you sang?
oh, I sang it. I sang so. Ay, tani que mi tani, ay, tani que mi tani, ay, tani, mi morena gitana, más buena no ha habido ni habrá. Uno y uno, dos y una, tres, no sale la cuenta porque falta un churumbel. So that was, and I won the competition, and little by little my parents, they realized that I have an inclination for music, so they decide that I have to go to the Conservatory of Music.
1959 was a decisive year when Domingo, only 18, came to New York to headline the world premiere of Alberto Ginestero's Don Rodrigo. The tenor became an overnight success.
You can imagine New York, a contract. I said, I don't know what is Don Rodrigo, but I sign. I don't care what it is, but I sign. I mean, then I got the score, and I realized that it was not exactly melodic. I mean, you cannot say that it was completely atonal, but it was not melodic, and it was very difficult. For instance, I remember, so it says the love duet starts it. Florinda, Florinda. Now it sounds melodic, but in those days, believe me, it don't sound melodic at all.
For over half a century, Domingo has been at home on the world's stages. By the end of 2013, he had sung 3,687 performances of 144 roles. He has also conducted 526 performances.
Perhaps love is like a resting place, a shelter from the storm. It exists to give you comfort, it is there to keep you warm.
The recording of the Free Tenor's debut concert in 1990 in Rome became the best-selling classical album of all time.
E sempre misero, chiara e saffina, confina, manca del cuore, ormai non sentasi felice appieno, chi su quel seno non gli va amore. La donna è mobile, qual piuma al vento, muta d'acceto e di pensiero. E di pensiero.
Well, three tenors, that was a miracle and the legend now. And, Pavarotti has passed away and your friend Carreras is taking a break and you are still active on stage.
Well, I have a great passion for what I do, and I have been able, and I'm happy that I can still sing and the public loves it, you know, so I will continue until I feel strong and the public likes it.
Yeah, I mean, we have all these amazing numbers that over 3,700 concerts or performances and over 100, nearly 150 different characters on the stage, and over 100 records and all these Grammys and Emmys. And I guess you don't really think much about these numbers, do you?
Well, I mean, who's counting? The thing is this,
That's what we do.
Yeah, I don't count anymore. I just try to do it well so that the public is happy when they come to hear me.
Yeah, what is it you enjoy most while you're on stage?
Oh, singing and acting, and also my career also, which is more recent, conducting, which I really love very much too.
Yeah, I guess now we can ask you this question. Well, it could be a cliche question, but what does the stage mean to you? What does singing mean to you?
Well, the singing, it fulfilled my life, you know, on the professional side. Really, I cannot think of being able to do something else. You know, I mean, it has filled my life. Unfortunately, I have a wonderful family which really loves what I do. They love it, many of them, they love it as much as I do, you know, and it's great. It's great to continue this way.
One of the greatest tenors of our times.
I always have in mind to record some songs.
I'll be loving you eternally.
Recorded his first pop album in over 20 years. For this long-awaited new album, Placido Domingo invited great artists to join him on duets, such as Josh Groban, Susan Boyle, Katherine Jenkins, Chris Botti, Megan Hilty, and French hit sensation Zaz. Particularly close to his heart was the duet with his son, Placido Domingo Jr.
So one of the wonderful things that I enjoyed very much is that I have a duet with my son, Placido.
And I think to myself, what a wonderful world.
He also hit the studio with Harry Connick Jr.
Hey, Placido.
Hey, Harry,
What do you think of that girl over there?
she's beautiful. Let's sing for her.
To sing with people like Harry Connick Jr., for many people he sounds, I mean, keeping the distance with like Sinatra, you know. And it was a lot of fun to do the time after time.
Time after time.
Well, these years we're now seeing more cooperation between you and Chinese musicians, including that one with Tan Dun and with the director Zhang Yimou,
Yeah.
Emperor Qin Shi Huang.
Yeah.
That was at Met.
Yes, that's right.
You
Yes.
were playing the emperor.
Yes, that's right. Yes.
What about that character? I mean, that's a a Chinese character from thousands of years ago, a Chinese emperor, though you didn't speak Chinese at the time. But
No, of course not.
it was an English opera, but how did that go? I mean,
Well, it went well. It went well. The public likes it, love it very much, and of course, perhaps it was a little far from the character. You know, I mean, they didn't do it the character itself, but it was a very great occasion. And the only thing I'm sorry is it was a lot of talking than we were going to do it here for the Olympics in the Forbidden City, and it never happened, so I'm sorry.
maybe one day it will happen.
Well, I don't know, maybe it might be too late.
Since we've won the next actual Olympics, the Winter Olympics.
Yes, that's right. You realize is the first country in the history that has both Olympics. That's
in
great.
one city.
That's great, yes.
But I mean, is it a challenge to you playing a Chinese character, such a historically important character?
You know, this is the wonderful thing about opera, that you never get bored. You know, you never get bored because you are constantly playing different characters. So you could be a poet, you could be an artist, you could be a drunkard, you could be a king, you can be an emperor, you can be both things. I was, just a few months ago, I was doing the part of Charles V, which was a king of Spain, then became emperor. So he was king and then emperor. So you can perform anything. So you have to get. I like to get the style of the characters. So I was kind of trying to walk and act like an emperor in those days. A Chinese emperor will do it, and with costumes and everything, it helps. So if you see the tape, I think you will get convinced sometimes, yes.
One of the privileges of being an actor on stage, you get to live actually different lives of different people, right?
Exactly. As I said, you cannot get bored. Every day you play a different character.
Well, for the young generation musicians, what you have achieved, they try to achieve on stage. What about yourself, and what will be your next goal?
I guess that first of all, I want to be healthy. That's it. You know, the years that I will live, I want to be healthy, and I want to be able, you know, if I feel strong, to continue singing and conducting, and, you know, just go around the world and be able to give to the public all the best that I can do, and it's a privilege for me to make them happy.
Is there one day probably you'll consider maybe retiring?
Absolutely. It has to be, you know. It has to be. So for the moment, I feel still strong and healthy and in good voice. So maybe the voice will finish before, but I will continue conducting also. So let's see what happens.
Yeah, let's hope that we're going to see you more on stage. Or let's hope we're going to see you more in China.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
I really hope.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
谢谢。
谢谢。
Ni hao, I am Placido Domingo, and I want to thank very much Icon for this wonderful interview. I have a lot of fun, and I'm looking forward to see you again.
Libiamo negli calici che la bellezza infiora, e là fuggevol ora si nebbia voluta. Libiamo i dolci fremiti che suscita l'amore, poiché quello che io al cuore onnipotente va. Libiamo, amore fra i calici più calli battì a fra.